Hello everybody. On October 18, 2025, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Americans are expected to take to the streets under the rallying cry, "No Kings!" Solidarity events are planned in other countries too, such as Canada, the United Kingdom, and Spain. What began as a protest of authoritarian overreach in America has grown into a multinational movement, uniting a wide coalition of civil, labor, advocacy, and grassroots groups demanding accountability, democratic norms, and limits on executive power. The No Kings movement first gained widespread attention in America on June 14, 2025, when more than 5 million Americans participated across over 2,000 events, making it one of the largest coordinated protest days in American history. At its core, No Kings rejects the unchecked concentration of power in the presidency and insists on constitutional constraints, rule of law, and civil liberties. Organizers point to a variety of grievances: the deployment of the National Guard in peaceful cities, fast-tracked secretive deportations without due process, restrictions on voting and reproductive rights, the hiding of the complete, non-redacted Epstein files, escalating wars, corporatocracy, and fascism. Events are scheduled in all 50 states, with rallies in big cities and small towns alike. In some places, protest dynamics are influencing municipal decisions. In Conroe, Texas, city officials temporarily postponed permit and insurance requirements for mass gatherings after concerns were raised that they could suppress protest activity. No Kings emphasizes nonviolent protest, legal preparedness, de-escalation training, and civic engagement. The core message is that the presidency must not be above the law. Organizers refer to political science research on resistance to authoritarianism. When 3.5% of a population sustains a public protest, it can shift the balance of power. Unsurprisingly, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson called the No Kings demonstrations on October 18 Hate America events, implying that those joining the protests are acting against their own country. But that characterization doesn't stand up to logic and reason. The No Kings message isn't about rejecting America, it's about repairing America. Its core demand is simple: no president and no political leader should hold power without limits. Organizers describe the movement as a defense of democracy, rule of law, and constitutional checks and balances, values rooted in the founding of the United States. In calling the protests Hate America events, Johnson misrepresents the movement's intent so that it's easier to condemn. Throughout American history, many politicians have branded political protests as un-American. But peaceful and lawful protest is one of the most patriotic acts citizens can take. It's a right enshrined in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, the right to question authority and demand accountability. Patriotism is loyalty to a nation's ideals, not to any single leader. So, while Hate America may make for a sharp political soundbite, it's simply false. The No Kings protests are a statement of what America was founded to prevent: the rule of kings. And in another bizarre, yet expected display of logical fallacies, Republican leaders have blamed the No Kings protest for the ongoing government shutdown, suggesting Democrats are deliberately keeping the government closed to appease their protest base. But again, that doesn't stand up to logic and reason. First, it's a false cause fallacy, assuming that because the shutdown and the protests are happening around the same time, one must be causing the other. Correlation is not causation. The No Kings demonstrations were scheduled months before the budget impasse, and the shutdown stems from policy disagreements in Congress, not street activism. It's also a straw man argument. The No Kings coalition includes unions, civil rights groups, and nonpartisan organizations, not just Democrats. By framing it as a partisan stunt, critics misrepresent what the movement actually stands for: checks and balances, not party politics. Then there's the ad hominem, attacking motives instead of addressing the issues. Rather than debating the merits of executive power or fiscal policy, the accusation shifts the focus to blame and intent. Finally, it presents a false dilemma, suggesting there are only two choices: end the shutdown or defer to protesters. In truth, the government shutdown involves complex negotiations over budgets, governance, and accountability. In historical context, mass protests have often served as inflection points. But protests are only one piece of the puzzle. To transform protest into success, No Kings organizers emphasize follow-through. Post-event local organizing, electoral engagement, watchdog activity, and sustained pressure on politicians, whether they be Republican, Democrat, or Independent. To find a No Kings event near you, or to find more information about the No Kings movement, click on a No Kings link below. Thanks for watching. Peace.